spoke about JUTC, and you went back to 2016 when we were carrying, you said 62 million people.
62 million passengers, right.
Down to 18 million.
18
so we are
million.
down to about 25. You said 30% of what we used to do.
Yeah.
Now, what really shocked me about that, and this is one of the main things I want to talk to you about this morning. I don't know if you misspoke or you're sure about what you said. But what I heard you said, and I heard Michael Phillips in the background echo it, that even though we are down to 30%, less than 200 buses from 450 buses, carrying 18 million passengers, down from 62 million, you are saying that the wage bill is still the same?
Correct.
No, Julian.
Yeah. But it came out in Standing Finance Committee.
Julian, that has been on my mind. I mean, I said, one thing I'm going to ask you this morning is this.
It's not just the wage bill, the spare parts bill. The expenses have not fallen.
I think you also said the oil bill.
Yes. The expenses have not fallen commensurate with the level of buses that are being rolled out.
No, but Julian, no, man, stop. Let me just brace a little bit and really get this. You had 450 buses in 2016 carrying is it because the money lose the power? So you're paying a driver more. So
no,
it end up.
That's not the reason. The reality is that JUTC, it is bloated. There's a need to rationalize it.
You broke up a while ago, Julian. We didn't hear what you said, so please repeat.
No. What the point I'm making is that the problem with JUTC is that the JUTC is bloated in terms of the size of the company, the number of persons who are working there, and the level of efficiency. So there's no way that you should be having the same expenses when you're running at less than 30% of your capacity. And unfortunately, that is what is happening with the JUTC right now.
No, Julian. But this
so
can't.
This didn't.
When you know this,
I was trying to find. This came out of Standing Finance Committee. I'm trying to find an article where Michael Phillips asked the minister about the $1.8 billion expenses, and the minister said he would have to check and come back to us because he himself couldn't provide an explanation. I'm just trying to find it online. This would have been last week at Standing Finance Committee.
So while Daryl Vaz was...
So even though the JUTC... All right, I'm going to find in the ad. I don't think I can share screen here. All right?
No, but we have to
find it. It says Vaz to seek clarity on projected 1.8 billion
with InDrive, you play it safe.
Increase in JUTC staff costs.
1.8 billion increase
on Friday. Michael Phillips used a meeting of parliament. Yeah. Now listen. Phillips used a meeting of Parliament Standing Finance Committee to demand an explanation from Minister Vaz for the sharp increase. Right? In response, Mr. Vaz said that JUTC will see an increase of 240 workers across the board, blah, blah, blah. Then he said that, this is Phillips, I don't think there was any mass redundancy at JUTC, especially to do with drivers, and you have been having less and less bus rollout. So to be employing an additional 200 plus, is it because of redundancies? Why are we taking on more drivers when you're still having a low rollout of buses? And increasing the payroll by an additional 1.8 billion, right? So the point here is that their expenses are increasing, even though they're running at 30% of capacity.
So aren't you calling for the Auditor General to step in and isn't this enough for the Auditor General to step in now and tell us what is happening there?
You know, You know, the Auditor General has done reports on JUTC. She has raised a number of issues, made recommendations. You know, where we are right now, it needs new leadership, it needs new management, it needs a new direction. It's not just about buying new buses, but it's also about ensuring that the entity operates efficiently, and it is clearly not operating efficiently right now as it stands. Definitely.
But this,
where we are right now, it needs new leadership, it needs new management, it needs a new direction. It's not just about buying new buses, but it's also about ensuring that the entity operates efficiently, and it is clearly not operating efficiently right now as it stands. Definitely.
but this, Julian, this is disturbing. This is disturbing. You're operating at 30% of the maximum capacity you have ever gotten to. And you still have the same expense? That can't
and your
be.
expenses are rising. It's not just the same, the expenses are rising.
Your expense should be down. Your expense should be down by a minimum of 50%.
Yeah, your expense should be commensurate with what you're rolling out. So the question is, what are all of those people who are employed doing? We don't know. And why are your expenses running so high? Now, the reality, you know, JUTC will always run as a subsidized entity. But you know, the level of subsidy, you have to remember, you know, if you are using a higher level of subsidy for JUTC, it prevents you from using that money in other areas of the economy.
Oh, yes.
And supporting other businesses, right?
It's
very important for, even though it will always run at a loss, that you minimize those losses so that the government subsidy doesn't have to be as large.
I don't know, but when you look at this, corruption start coming in your mind? That's
a very, in my view, very strong consideration as to why the entity operates the way it does. Look at it. It requires significant review. And let me explain. You know, people might spend time on this, and people might not understand why.
Some of them did say, so what? Somebody did say, so what?
No, the opposition leader on Tuesday will speak more about rural transportation, because he has a plan to deal with rural transportation. And the reality is that spreading out the JUTC into the other urban centers is important, because people want, one, a safe way to travel, because we do know the alternatives are not always safe, and a comfortable way. Now, how is this impacting the economy? If a country is not able to move people from home to work and back, from home to school and back in an efficient way, that country is always going to struggle to grow its economy. And right